Are you ready for cocktails and conversation? Are you ready for cocktails and conversation? Are you ready for cocktails and conversation? With your host, the unapologetic diva, Dr. G, the girlfriend therapist, Dr. Cortina Lewis, and the networking extraordinaire, Diana Richardson Philippus. Are you ready for cocktails and conversation? This is Herspiration Happy Hour. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another episode of Herspiration Happy Hour. This is season 9, episode 15. This is your unapologetic diva, Dr. G.
This is Cortina Peters Lewis, aka the girlfriend therapist.
And this is Diana Richardson Philippus, your networking extraordinaire.
And how are you ladies doing today? It's Wednesday. How's your week been thus far?
Busy.
Yes, very busy. Up and at 'em very early.
Do you feel like when you wake up early that you're more productive?
No.
I think I feel like sometimes when I get up early and I can do more, then I don't know why. Just by later on in the afternoon, I'm feeling really good. I get that pep, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad that I woke up earlier. Yeah.
Well, I had to be up, but I wasn't. I was in a training, so I was at a conference, so I wasn't doing anything in my own personal life that would make me feel productive. I was having to sit and listen, which it was a great conference, love it. But I wasn't doing anything, and then when I was done, I had to come home and see clients. So
no, that's what I'm saying. Even if I'm working, I still feel I get more done than when I either sleep in or just lay in bed or anything like that. I'm just always, it just gives me a little boost of energy to get up a little bit earlier.
Yeah, not me. It pisses me off because I'm like, I could have still been asleep, because then I'm thinking about, oh my God, if I don't get this amount of sleep, I'm going to be so tired. But I'm a night owl, so I feel most creative and most productive at night when it starts.
I totally get that. So it is Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, as we call it. And so let's get right into it. Who has something to share that they want to celebrate, that we can give an applause to kick off our show?
Well, I don't even know why this is so challenging this week. I don't think I've actually thought about it. I can't really say it's a win, but I would say I don't know. I'm just super excited about all of the, trips and seeing you ladies in a few, being able to just, see my friends. So I'm excited about
That's
that.
a win for sure.
And you know what? I think a lot of it is because I have to think, well, I don't think you've ever, since I've known you, put anything into your birthday, really.
So
a lot of effort.
I used to celebrate my birthday like a big, like a lot. So the last time I really made it a big deal was 2019, where I went all the way out. But then after that, I think life was just so
different,
busy, and stuff happening, and seemed like every time it was held something, it was around my birthday when I was either finding out something, and so it was just like an afterthought. So people keep asking me, like, is this like a milestone birthday? I'm like, no, it's not. I just feel like I want to. Do it. So that's why I'm just like, it's not a milestone or anything.
And so here's to celebrating big or non-milestones, because a lot of people wait till milestones to do something big or to really truly celebrate in a special way. So you know what? I'm alive and I want to celebrate my birthday with my friends and family. So kudos to that. Diane, is there anything we can celebrate with you today?
Well, I'm always going to start off with, I woke up this morning, so I'm definitely winning. I woke up, I'm alive, I'm walking, talking, breathing, and can see there's a lot of people in the world that did not. So I'm definitely winning in that aspect. And I have a couple things that I could announce, but I'm not going to. But just give me a round of applause anyway for something that's coming soon.
Well, keep us in suspense then.
Okay. All right. So I feel like my win is that I am becoming more intentional about building my network here. Even though I'm going to be transitioning soon still, I just so happened on a whim over the weekend. And so, when you're in like Facebook groups or group me groups and whatnot, and you meet up with a bunch of, phenomenal women, but you never really come out of the group chat. It's just very rare.
Yeah.
And so this weekend, a few of us ladies just posted a couple of days ago or back just before Saturday and said, oh, there's a wine in the woods. Anybody want to go? I said, like, sure, I'm going to go. So I want to say it was about 5 of us that we all linked up. We had all these different things about food that we would bring and all of that. And we had this whole little picnic out there, went wine tasting. It was really nice. It had live music. And you just get to step out of your comfort zone to really meet other women. And I was super inspired just hearing and talking to some of the ladies. And I said, wow, you know what? This has been so nice. I'm going to do it more often. So much so that one of the ladies posted in the group of this, it's called a tipsy yoga. So I'm going to be going on a Sunday fun day to do tipsy yoga and candle making on June 7th with a couple of the ladies. So I'm winning because I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, put myself out there and build relationships. That's my win.
Sounds
Sounds
fun.
good.
Yeah. So, Cortina, what are we sipping on today?
Well, instead of the boring name Lavender Lychee Margarita, we're going to do the Pressure Made Me Margarita.
Oh, okay.
Like that, we're learning to be better and to do better. So you're going to do 1/4 ounce of lychee juice, 3/4 ounces of lavender syrup. You want to make sure you buy this one so you can actually have the purple color. The lychee juice, that's going to kind of dilute that deep purple color that you see. So if you really want that color, then you have to go ahead and get the store-bought lavender syrup. You also want to do 1.5 ounces of tequila, 1.5 ounces of orange juice, agave syrup, a sugar rim, and of course an edible flower as always. And so to prepare this drink, what you want to do is prepare your glass by brushing it with agave and rolling it in the sugar. So you can also do some edible sugar glitter if you want on the rim to give it a purple color as well. And then you want to just go ahead and set that aside. Then you want in a shaker to combine the lychee juice, the lavender syrup, the orange liqueur, and the tequila. And you want to shake that fresh. Not shake that fresh. You want to shake that first. And then add your lime. And then you want to shake it for about 10 seconds. And then you want to strain it over your prep glass. Over ice, and then garnish it with those edible flowers. And that's it. There we go.
Hey.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me too.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't sound too sweet.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't really do really, really sweet, but it sounds delicious. I would definitely have it.
We've been on a tequila tip lately, so I'm with it.
I know, right?
I know I'm not even a tequila person, but I would have it with tequila because I don't feel like that would go well with gin.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, so I have to get you a cup of
It
ginger.
doesn't go with everything, so I think I would leave. I would stick with a tequila, maybe even a vodka, but definitely a tequila. I feel like would go well with that.
What do they normally make the lychee drinks? I've never had one before. I've never had the lychee.
I like lychee martinis. That was a lychee margarita, but the martinis, oh gosh, are so good.
Yeah, lychee martinis.
What is it though? Kind of, it's vodka.
Lychee
Yeah, so
martini.
when I make my it's with vodka, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had it before.
It's sweet though, but lychee is really sweet.
Yeah, the fruit. So guess what? When you all come to the party, because we're having a bartender, go out there and have you Oh, yeah.
What?
I'll tell you afterwards. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to the party.
Okay. It's coming up real fast. I still have to, I
Yes,
have to
it is.
I have to get my other outfit for the actual party, but I do have my dress. So I think that's a good start.
Yes,
like
my second dress came, and thank God that one is a go. So now I can send the other one back.
I want to try one more. I just don't have it in me. I just say, you know what, this one I'm just going to wear. I don't even care. I like the way the back is, but I don't like the way the bottom back is. But I said that's what I'm wearing.
It's going to do what it's going to do.
Because I don't feel like sending this one back or trying another one. And yeah.
So that's why I ordered two, because something in my mind was like, you know what? Let me just, because I know me. And thank God I did it, because I would have been mad. I would have been mad.
Okay. So, you know what, ladies, I want to just kick this conversation off with a question. Because, you know, there's a lot of different terminology that's thrown around, especially during just in general conversation now. And I mean, you hear all the time about gaslighting, and everybody and their mama talks about narcissism and or having been with a narcissist and whatnot. But I also feel like, you know, the question for you all from me would be like, when did like therapy language become almost like everyday language? Because I feel like social media is like everybody's moving into the coaching spaces and all of this stuff. And I feel like some of the language now is becoming almost like very common language. And I don't feel like it necessarily should if it's not really understood. In terms of just saying, okay, everybody's a narcissist. I'm with a narcissist. I'll put up boundaries, do all of these different things. And so what do you ladies think about that? And just, I'm gonna preface this on not to bring up a specific person, so I'm not even going to name her name, but she herself has been very inflated using terminology that's as if it's just like, oh, this is a regular conversation. And it really is not. And some of it can be very damaging. So I'm just wondering, how do you ladies feel about some terminology, a psychological terminology being used in everyday language or discussion?
I feel like it really exploded with social media, because people can get on there and they can say anything. Like, you go have a couple therapy sessions, you get some therapy jargon, and then you think you're an expert, and now you're talking about it on your own platform, right? Or you're sharing it with other people. And it's like, even in the therapy world, we don't even use these terms as much as the everyday person uses them. Like, I don't, gaslighting is not something that comes up in my therapy sessions, right? If we're talking about it, we talk about, okay, specifically, it sounds like it could be that this is what it is. Do the behaviors align with what that is? But typically that is not, and narcissists, that is not something that typically comes up in my therapy sessions when I am having therapy with individuals. But I think there are people that have narcissistic characteristics, but they're not narcissists, right? So I think disconnecting and really having an understanding about what that is, because we all can have traits and characteristics of anything, right? I could be having characteristics of depression. Does that mean I have major depressive disorder? Should I be diagnosed? No, it might be situational. My goldfish died. I'm sad. So I'm feeling a little depressed right now, right? Do I need to be like, oh, she's depressed? No. And I think that we oversimplify what these diagnoses are, because we truly don't understand the diagnostic criteria as it relates to what does this actually mean, right? So that is just my whole take on how we got to where we are with people using these terms so freely in everyday life. Like, I can say, you know what? some narcissistic characteristics. They're displaying some, gaslighting behaviors, or you're gaslighting, because that's the thing that you actually can do. You can do racial gaslighting, you can do emotional manipulation gaslighting, making me
That's
feel
what
like
I was getting ready to say. Gaslighting isn't necessarily diagnosing someone.
No,
that's something that people
something that you do. It's a
Right.
behavior, right? But a lot of times gaslighting and narcissists go hand in hand, because people say narcissists gaslight a lot. So you see those in conversations often together. So let
me ask you this.
Mhm.
Since you are a resident therapist, and as I lean in, right, I'm going to lean in. So if there is a person who gaslights, right? A person is being consistently gaslighted by someone, right? If someone came to you in therapy with that, and I'm trying to see how I want to really frame this. Since you say gaslighting and narcissism are typically used hand in hand.
Well,
right?
they go sometimes, like narcissists display gaslighting behaviors. Like,
Right.
if you see,
But a person that consistently gaslights doesn't necessarily have to be a
no.
narcissist.
Not at all.
So then what's wrong with them? Why are they doing that?
I mean,
I want to know, like, what would be the problem?
So it could be a personality disorder, right? It could, which is narcissism. That's a personality.
That's what I was getting ready to say, which is narcissism.
It could be their way of coping, because something developmentally in childhood, they don't have a personality disorder, but that's the way that they skirted around life. So that's the way they learned how to deal with people, to either escape accountability, to either say, I don't want people mad at me, so I'm going to be mad at you before you can be mad at me, right? And so it's a myriad of things that could cause people to display that behavior, because at some point we have all gaslit somebody, right? However, there are people that take it to a whole nother level,
crazy ass level.
It's like, damn, I can't even have a conversation with you, because I'm always walking away like, am I the problem? So I come to you with something, I come to you with an issue, you make me feel like I'm the bad one for advocating for myself. So now I come to you, let's say you stepped on my shoe. Dang, Diana, it really hurt when you stepped on my shoe. And you turn it around and say,
wait a minute, let me just ad lib, okay? I know what to do. Come to me right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. Come on.
Okay.
Say I stepped on your shoe. Let's role play.
Hey Diana, I just wanted to bring up something, because you stepped on my shoe, and I
stepped on your shoe.
Yeah, and so I wanted to bring it to your attention, because I didn't want it to,
I never stepped on your shoe.
I felt it. You might not remember. You might
No. See, you always trying to make something bigger than what it need to be. Maybe you and your shoe was in the way. Okay, I didn't step on your shoe. You ran into my foot. Okay, that's what happened. You ran into my foot.
Well, I thought I was sure about how it happened, but maybe
you thought wrong.
I did run into your.
You thought wrong. I'm not about to argue with you.
Well, I'm sorry for running into you. I apologize. I didn't mean to run into you if I ran into you. So I'm sorry. So you see how they totally flip it, and now you're questioning, well, shit, did it happen the way that I thought it happened in my mind? Because the strings, right? They're playing, and they're so convincing in that moment. Yeah. Where it's like, oh no, how dare you address me with this peasantry type of stuff that you're coming to me about? It's your fault. I stepped on your shoe. Now
look, one time for the role play. Look, one time for the role play.
The other person feeling like, maybe I need to apologize to them. I didn't know they felt and it can go in so many different directions, but
yeah.
when someone is gaslighting you, knowing how to not get derailed in the conversation, because sometimes gaslighters also like to use straw man arguments where we're on this one thing, but you want to bring in something from somewhere else that really has nothing to do with what I'm bringing to your attention right now. And so you use that as, well, you do that too. Okay, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. That's not what I'm bringing up. And if you want to say, well, you do that too, when you felt that way, if it was a problem for you, you should have addressed me then, not when I'm trying to share with you how whatever it is made me feel that you did. And now I'm feeling guilty for even saying anything.
Okay.
Or angry.
Yeah. So pause right there. What you're saying, you feel guilty about even saying anything. I want to ask this question because I know this is one of, it's something you hear all the time. I mean, you even hear us talking about protecting our peace. So do you feel like, the protecting my peace has become, is like more of a mature decision, or wait a minute, or is it an excuse to avoid an uncomfortable conversation, which is not healthy either? So are you avoiding conversation? Because sometimes we avoid conversations and we say, I'm just protecting my peace. But also I feel like, are we also enabling how someone else treats us because we're not speaking up? So is it avoiding conversation that should be had, or is it really protecting our peace because we're choosing not to say something? And is it good? Is it a good or bad thing at that point to protect your peace if you don't really feel like I don't feel like being gaslit. I don't want to feel like this, or I don't want to feel like that. So is there a healthy balance when it comes to protecting your peace?
I think both is yes, and yes to what you said, and people can use it as a way to avoid accountability or uncomfortableness, because not everybody knows how to address confrontation, right? And not all conflict or confrontation is negative. Sometimes it's good. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. But when you haven't developed the ability to be able to resolve conflict, when it's just like, I just want to keep the peace, I don't want nobody to be mad, I don't want to do any of that, then you avoid anything that even resembles that there could be a conflict. So I'm just going to shut it down, ignore it. I'm going to avoid it at all costs. I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm going to pretend like it's not there. And that's not healthy at all either. So there are certain times when you need to protect your peace. Is this going anywhere? Mm-hmm. How many times have we been here? And if this is something that you have made a boundary about, and there is someone that is consistently violating that boundary that you made clear because you communicated it to them, you all had a conversation, discussion, whatever that is, and they still continue to do it at that point because you haven't avoided, possible conflict, you've had a conversation, you've done all those things, then you can exit stage left and say, you know what? I have to be able to protect my peace because we've discussed this. We've been over it. It's time. But if you are a person and you've never talked about it, you've never addressed it, and you're just like, I'm going to ghost them. We need to go a little bit deeper because you might be conflict avoidant. And that's not a good thing. So we need to work on the avoidance of the conflict, because how do you deal with people and their personalities? How do you deal with navigating the different things that people may want to share with you? Because not all conversation feels good. Not everything we're going to be agreeable on. That's just not reality, unless somebody is not being true, unless somebody is being fake. So even when I have clients that come to me and they say, oh my God, we've never had an argument. Somebody being fake. Because you cannot have two people with two different life experiences.
Come on.
Two different ways of thinking, ways of being. One or both are not being true to who they are. Even if it comes to, dang, like, I felt a little certain type of way. And again, we're not always agreeing, but we have a mature way of dealing with me being able to communicate how I feel about what I'm sharing with you. If I'm always like, yes, oh, I like soccer too. Oh yeah, let's watch this. Oh yeah, let's go here. Well, who the hell are you? Are you just like a chameleon and you're morphing into who this person is? You don't have your own interests. You don't have your own things that you want to do, your own life, your own friends, any of those things. And then it's like, are we both showing up as our real self? And I'm talking about in friendships, business partnerships, if you're, in relationships, in any type of connection that you have with someone else.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to note, I like what you said, some people, and I'm not talking about people who are being gaslit, right? Or have those types of dynamics going on, but just people in general who want to avoid what they consider confrontation, right? They don't want to bring something up or address something because they're immediately thinking that this is going to be confrontation. And I always feel like that's a very immature way, a concept of even thinking, because to be able to have hard conversations, it does not equate to confrontation to me. It's all about communication, right? And people should be able to communicate their feelings in a healthy, mature, and emotionally intelligent way. And the opposite party should be able to receive that and communicate back, even if you disagree, because that's life, you're not going to agree on everything, but you still have to come into, that space with an open mind and wanting to be able to hear what someone else has to say, even if it might even, hurt your ego or shadow your image of yourself a little bit, because I think, there we go with them deadly sins. I ain't gonna get started though, pride and, but okay. That's it. That's all I gotta say. I'm about to go in another direction.
You're very right, Diana, but I think sometimes people have a hard time with what I call emotional accountability. They are not ready to be accountable for how you feel. They are not ready to be accountable for how they feel. And so sometimes I feel like that can make conversations hard, because people can have all the emotional maturity in the world, but if you are not ready to have that accountability part of that, then you're not
emotional maturity then.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. That's called adulting.
Sometimes, but some people might look at emotional maturity as in I'm non-confrontational, so I'm not going to confront that. And they think that it's, again, that's when they say, as some people say, I've healed, I'm at peace, I'm protecting my peace. But they're not ready to handle that the emotional conversations that take place. I don't feel like it doesn't mean that they're not mature. They're just not.
No, they can be mature, but emotional maturity comes with the awareness that this is one of my shortcomings. It's challenging for me to be able to be in uncomfortable spaces and say things when I feel like there's a potential that it could go left. But despite the fear I have courage enough to move forward with the conversation because it needs to be had. Because if I don't, it can come back to bite me, right? And so
being ready for that, I think that's what I'm saying. What about being ready for that? I mean, here again, I feel like I don't want to box that in to say I'm not emotionally mature because I'm not ready at that moment to have that conversation. It's not like I'm emotional, because that awareness comes that there's a time and a place for everything. If your partner show his ass out in public, you have to be mature enough to say, let me not act out. But that's what I'm saying. There are varying. It's not that they might not be ready at that moment. It's not that they can't. I mean, they can be non-confrontational and can be fearful.
Well, they're showing their ass. Clearly, they're in a confrontational mode.
But that was the partner.
And I think that's where I'm coming from. I feel like there's a time and a place for when conversations
Well, yeah,
need to happen. And I'm horrible about that too, girl. I mean, I just having a good day and I'm like, I need to talk.
But Pam, that's a different thing, right? You have some people that won't do it, even when it's the most opportune time. If I have an inability to do it, that's where the problem is. If it's like, you know what, there's a time and space, you showing your ass right now, but I'm not going to show mine because that's on you. I'm going to wait till we get home. I'm going to wait till it's in the privacy. That is an example of knowing, because you are emotionally aware to know that this is not the appropriate time to do that. If you just say, you know what, I don't want to get into it, I don't want to talk about it at all, and that's always your response, the emotional maturity is not there. Because emotional maturity would also say, I can't stay with the person that I can't speak to if we are going to continue this relationship, because the relationship won't mature, because we are not sharing openly about how we feel. If
and respectfully
person did this and you can't communicate how this made you feel, or you know what, in the future I think we should do something different. If you can't openly say that, no matter who it is, the continuum of emotional maturity, I believe, is always evolving, right? It's not necessarily a destination. There's varying levels, but can you really say you are emotionally mature? How can you say that if you're afraid to address anything? If I'm not addressing anything, that hasn't been tested for me to be able to honestly say I am emotionally mature. On the other hand, emotional maturity is saying this is not the time or the place, but I'll address it later. Two different.
Oh yeah, correct. That's where I was coming from. That's where I was coming from. Is that, you know, you might not be ready to have that conversation.
Yeah, that's different.
But then let me ask you this. So I often wonder, because I'm that type that I'm told I never have the right time. So when we say there's the time and a place, when do we start factoring in what that time and place looks like for the other party? Because for us, we might feel like, oh, it's a time. This now is the time, and right now is the place. However, they might not feel like that time. But
wait a minute. Let me piggyback on Pam and give you, so you can have the full question and then just answer us both. So riding on that coattail, right, of what Pam just said. So in figuring out what the right time is, but what if the person, it's never a right time, right? What if it's never a right time? Any time is the wrong time.
And so so if you're talking to somebody and anytime you want to bring up something, they might have an avoidant attachment style. This is where you get into attachment styles as well. And
she about to go get a book, y'all. Hold on, let me switch in my chair.
Anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about attachment styles, here's a book right here, Attach. You might want to get that. The New Science of Adult Attachment and how it can help you find and keep love, right? Some people are they have avoidant attachment styles. Some people have anxious attachment styles. Some people have secure attachment styles. We ultimately want to get to secure. So you also have to know who you're dealing with, because if someone fears, because let's go to childhood. If anytime their parent or their caregiver came to them and was like, oh, when we get home, I'm going to talk to you. That might, when you say we need to talk, that might be a trigger for them. And they say, oh, hell no. All right. This is not a good time. I'm not using that as an excuse to excuse anybody from being able to have a conversation. But in my mind, when I think about things, my mind goes a little further than just the present, the here and now. I'm thinking about, okay, well, but damn, every time I want to talk to them, they're unavailable. What is that about? And for me, because I'm just naturally curious, I'm going to ask. I'm going to say, do you feel like you're going to be in trouble? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think I'm not going to be your friend anymore? Do you think I'm going to leave you? What is it that happens to you? Because it seems like, I can't say you're never available to talk to. I have to say it seems like, because I can't accuse them when that might not be what they feel like their excuse is, right? I have to say it feels like anytime I want to share something with you, you are unavailable.
But question,
is there a time that I am able to do that with you? Again, I think it depends on the person too, because I'm a very patient person. And so I'm looking at people's behaviors and I look at patterns as well. So if I'm looking at the pattern and then I'll call you out, I'll say, you know what?
Oh, shoot.
There are several times that I've tried to have this conversation with you, and it doesn't look like I can have this conversation with you. So I am going to write it, because I was friends with someone where it was difficult for me to have conversations with them. So I started writing things to them. So you can read it on your own. Then you come back, you've read it. We can have a discussion about it. But where I was like, I can't do this is when they said, I'm not reading all of that. Okay. If you don't want to read all of that, that means that one, you don't respect how I feel or my feelings that I'm trying to share with you. This is not a friendship that I feel like I need to be in, because I cannot openly communicate with you how I feel. So I try different ways of communicating, because sometimes verbally doesn't work for everybody. So they might have to read it. You might have to,
but question,
do it a couple of different ways.
What if, another example, because now, I'm picking your brain, because all of this is very interesting to me personally. So, okay, that's one way to address a person, to find out, right, when is the right time to address someone. But what if any time that a person attempts to communicate like their feelings or anything under that realm, the other person's stance is to become angry and deflective? I didn't do that. Or
okay,
is that?
So this is the thing. Like, they're dismissive of what you're sharing with them. So what I would say is,
isn't that a little narcissistic?
No, not really. Some people just don't want to take accountability. So I would say my feelings are not up for debate. My feelings are mine, right? And so you may not agree with my experience, but I'm sharing with you, this is how I feel about my side of the experience. And that is not something that's up for debate. I want to be able to share with you so that you have the information so that you could do what you feel like you need to do, because I'm equipping you with the knowledge of how this impacted me. Another thing is, when it comes to someone always saying they're never busy, if you're in a dating or married relationship, so what I do with my couples that come in, we talk about, okay, well, what are the guidelines? If someone is not ready to talk, how long do we go? If someone brings up something, what's the ultimate longest time we can go without talking about this?
That's right? A good one.
Some people, they say, okay, let's go 48 hours, depending on how big it is. That's the ultimate length of time we're going to go with not discussing this. For some people, it's like, we're not going to go 4 hours without discussing this, right? Depending on how big it is, because you can tell me every single time that you ain't ready for it, but we've made an agreement together that we will not go 4 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours without discussing this. So it keeps us both on the same page. Well, they might not want to talk about it now, but I know within 24 hours, we're going to have had this discussion, and we're going to talk about, I'm going to have a space and place where I am able to share. We also talk about the 4 horsemen. So stonewalling. We talk about the things that are not conducive to relationships that are successful. And so, are we able to have a conversation without these things that derail conversations or that make people defensive? Can we have those conversations? And Elizabeth, I see you say, can writing or texting come off wrong? It can. That's why you try to have a conversation first. You see what that person's communication style is, and then you are able to have a comeback conversation about what it is that you wrote or text to them. Because for me, I know it for myself. Even when I went back and reread text messages, if I'm angry, I might see words that's not even there. But then you come back, I'm serious. I was like, damn, that wasn't even that bad. But in that moment,
because you're mad and you're reading fast.
In my face, right? So that's why you come back and you have a conversation. And I believe that mirroring and reflective listening are two powerful tools that people can use in communication, right? So before we go on with this whole soliloquy and you're coming to me talking about all these things, during certain points of the conversation, you want to say, so what I'm hearing, or are you saying is ... So before you interpret it in a negative way, they are able to say to you, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Or no, where did you, what? No, that's not what I said. So that we make sure as we go through this conversation, you are not misinterpreting what it is that I'm actually asking of you. And that's
just like, you know, when somebody texts and they put a whole bunch of exclamation marks, depending on like if it's not, you know, like, hey, so I initially always I take that as yelling. Don't send me no texts with a whole bunch.
But I think it's knowing the person, because my dad, he puts periods, commas, exclamations on everything. But he's very, if you ever met my dad, he's very excitable. Oh my gosh, he's like over the top. If I see them extra exclamations, oh, he feeling good. Oh, this is just Derek. And he always texts in all caps. That's just him.
Daddy be yelling, child. He excited and yelling.
I don't know why he does it. If you all ever see any of my posts that he comments on, he gonna comment 10 times on the same picture. That's just
I think it's a dad thing. My dad does that sometimes. You know, he comments once, then he comments again, and I'm like, okay. He texts the same way too, very similar. Because sometimes I'm like, is he really asking a question, or is he just? So I've had to learn how to read between, you know, what he's saying sometimes. But I will tell you this: I think for me, when it comes to, sometimes I can soften the blow of what I have to say writing, because sometimes it would definitely beat what I'm actually feeling like saying. I can soften the blow a little bit because I can then focus and take some of the anger out if I'm typing or writing to soften the blow, but still getting my point across. But I'm very into
become angry until I'm dismissed about something. Now that's a trigger for me.
I was just going to say that sounds like that is something that was developed that you are like, this reminds me of something I don't like. And it takes me there. So don't do it. So when you're talking to people, say, when you're starting to feel dismissed, you have to make sure that you communicate that statement. When hearing that statement, it causes me to feel dismissed, because you don't want to say you're dismissing me, because that might not even be their intention. So now I'm gonna get caught up on semantics. I'm be like, I'm not dismissing you. That's not what I'm doing. And then you're gonna come back and be like, but you are. It's like, no, it feels very dismissive when I hear you say that. Right. So the other person has the opportunity to say, oh, that wasn't meant to be dismissive. So now I'm not defensive because you're not accusing me of anything. I'm able just to respond to the statement that you made about you feeling defensive. And I can say, oh,
But is that to say that people who use dismissive language don't know that they're being dismissive?
Hell yes, they're being dismissive.
I was going to say, I would beg to differ. I think that a lot of the time when people, there's certain, now I'm not the type that would be easily triggered by something small that could or could not be deemed as dismissive. I'm triggered by straight up dismissive language that everybody know what you doing. Okay. We all know what's happening here. So I guess that's.
Well, let me say this. I think it's all about knowing the person too, because I have had people say to me that you're dismissing how I feel. So I use I don't care a lot because a lot of things don't bother me. So I'm not dismissing how you feel. If you're saying, so for example, I was going somewhere, I am a stickler for time. I hate being late. I just absolutely, that is one of the biggest pet peeves that I have, being late. And so we were going somewhere and I picked up this person and they were like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do this. I was like, no, you can't do this in my car, something. And they were like, oh, so you don't care about how I feel? I was like, no. They was like, I'm mad at you or something like that. I said, okay, you'll get over it. Okay, let's just move on, because it wasn't that deep for me. And they felt like I was dismissing their feelings, right? Anybody who knows me, I'm not going to be the one that's dismissing anybody's feelings, right? I'm probably going to be overly like, oh my God, let's talk about this, because I'm a talker. I'm a hasher outer, right? I want to hash things out. But for me, it was saying, girl, you're going to be good. Okay, we finna go where we need to go. And that's just going to be it. I don't care if you're mad at me. It's not going to change my love for you. It's not going to change any of that, because I don't give a lot of attention and rah-rah to stuff that, okay, the point is, the rule in my car is the rule that it is. It's not going to change. So if you want to be mad at me about my own boundary for my car, for my rule,
you can get out.
What do you want me to do about that? Like, what is it that you want for me to do about that?
She didn't say, well, you can get out. See, there you go, jumping all the way over there. There she go.
I ain't say that.
She ain't say nothing about get out. She ain't
That's what I said, though. But that's what I said. So here's the thing. I know when I'm dismissive. I think one of the things that I've really learned about myself, good, bad, or indifferent, I always know exactly how I feel, and I'm not going to skirt around it. Just not. I am who I am. I am very flawed. And sometimes my communication comes across. And sometimes before I sit here and aggravate myself with some nonsense or what I don't feel like dealing with, I will hang up the phone or dismiss or walk away, or because I know my I know my mouth. And so sometimes if I start to get to a certain point, it's easier for me not to say nothing at all and then revisit it later, versus try to have a conversation in the headspace that I'm in, especially when I feel like it's an immature conversation or stupid conversation, or it's just like, are we really about to have this conversation over something menial? Because I don't like to waste energy on a bunch of nonsense. And so it's not that I'm ever dismissive about people's feelings. I mean, honestly, right off, sometimes I don't care about your feelings over mine. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to always choose how I feel in those moments before I start caring about how someone else feels, because I have to protect me first, if that makes sense. And sometimes it can come across insensitive, but at the same time, I can only control me. Mm-hmm. I can't control anyone else. I can control me. I have to deal with the consequences of what I say. I have to deal with the consequences of what I do, and any behavior that's displayed in between. And so I hold myself in a regard to say, you know what, this is not going to be conducive for me. This is not going to go well. And instead of ruining friendships, relationships, work things, whatever it is, I'm just not going to say nothing at all. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to separate myself from those conversations. I'm not going to avoid them, because I'm sure I even with Jay, sometimes, I'll just tell him, I have to get this off my chest. I'm not expecting a response right now, but I need to get this off my chest right now. Because I also have learned that he's a much slower processor than me. And sometimes he need that extra time. And I remember we first dated, I'm like, I know we need to talk about this now. But I realized how effective it was for me to let him have his space. And then he will come back and have those conversations with me once he processed it. And so I expect the same thing, because I own my feelings. I own my emotions, and I am responsible for me, not anyone else.
That's right. I think one of the things that really helped me, in addition to being a therapist, is avoiding tough conversations for a lot of my life because I wanted to be the person that everybody liked. I wanted to be the people pleaser. I didn't want to make waves and do all of that. But that is not helpful to anyone because if you teach people how to treat you, if you've been a certain way, and then once you start to change, heal, grow, people are going to think that you switching up on them anyway because you're no longer the doormat. And so you might as well work through that and heal that. So you know what? Well, it's easier if I'm myself, my true self, and I'm able to communicate with you what I feel, what I have going on, how this makes me feel, versus not saying anything and it building, I'm suppressing, and then you have an explosion at the end. And then Pam, to go off of, you know, how Jay might be a slower processor. For me, if I feel like Dungy is not in a place to hear it, or whoever it is, I have to get it off of me. So I'll write it in my notes what I'm feeling. And
I do the same thing. I journal.
Yeah, and then I come back to it though, and I say, you know what, right now I don't really feel that way, so I can take that out. That's not really necessary for me to say. I can take that out. So then I'm able, because now I can sleep. If something is on my mind, it is going to impact me. It's going to bother me. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm going to toss and turn all night because it's going to be on my mind. I have a container that I go put it in, so I'm not thinking about it, but I can always come back to it.
No, that don't work for me.
Because
even if I, to me, because
it depends on what it is.
But I don't think it's fair either. But everything is not about the one person, right? Because sometimes we don't understand what other people might be going through. And if this one time, now you say he's slower process, if you got to get it off, again, you know your partner. But sometimes people are going through things that you don't have any awareness of. And is it disrespectful for me to just be like, I don't care what you got going on, you're gonna hear what I have to say, and I'm gonna say it right now? Then they go sideways. We don't know if they had a bad day at work. We don't know if the goldfish just died. We don't know. We don't really know everything.
So ask me if I care.
But can't you lean in with pleasantries first?
I don't argue, but I don't. So the thing about it is, one thing about me, I know how to get things off my chest and not be nasty about it. You know, if I'm feeling a certain kind of way, he might not be in a mood to hear it, but I don't care about
But
that.
not even a mood. What if he's not in the mental space to hear it?
Care.
But you said it, and then it's going to come up.
What if the person ain't never in a mental space to hear nothing?
Well,
he's never in the mental. The mental just is not
right.
There.
That's different, because I will tell you
polite right now. I mean, straight up. I mean, when it comes to like my husband, because I mean, I'm married. We've been together almost 14 years. No, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna say what I have to say. I'm not writing shit down. I'm not doing any of that. But I also will say this: I'm not an argumentative type of person. I don't believe in having random ass conversations over bullshit. If I'm feeling something and we need to talk, it's because it's something that I found disrespectful. It's something that it really bothered me, and I'm going to speak up on that, and that's for him to process later on. I don't care, because what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to hold back, but I'm also willing to apologize. And a lot of times I just say to him, I just need to get this off my chest. And I do. I'm also with someone who allows me to feel. I mean, no matter what I feel, he never says I don't have a right to feel that way. I'm able to say how I feel when I feel, because I'm not trying to spark arguments over nothing.
But I think those are a couple of different things, right? Being with someone who allows you to feel the way that you feel is great, right? So I can say whatever it is that I feel, and I know that they understand me. They're not going to judge me for it. Great. Wonderful. When I hear someone say,
I'm not approaching him, cussing him out, though.
No, but even if you're not, right?
It's a conversation.
But this is the thing. There can be times where someone might need to share something with me. And if I'm mentally, like, y'all know what I do all day. I might be like, I don't have the capacity to hear it. What you have to say is very important to me. But you know what? Because it is important to me, and I want to make sure I'm present for what you say, so you don't have to come back and repeat it to me again, because I dismissed maybe something that was very important to you. Because clearly, if you are pressed to feel like,
it's never a right time, though. It's never a right time. So I make it a time. That's how I feel.
Well, I think that's selfishness on both parts, because I think that.
But when you think about marital issues, let's just get down to the bare bones of it, right? We're just going to talk about men and women right now. A lot of times, men do not prioritize, or they don't want to hear it, basically, because sometimes men feel like any conversation
is an argument,
right? Is a hard conversation. It's going to end up being an argument. They don't like to be wrong. They don't want to hear what they call nonsense, or, for better sake of, I don't want to curse, but bullshit. You know, that's just not. So it's never a right time.
Well, let's not use absolute language. Let's not say never. Maybe for the most part.
Well, I can only speak from experience.
Let's say rarely, because I'm pretty sure there are conversations, Diana, that you've had with SIBO that have been able to move forward, right? Because even if you bring it up later, that later was then the right time. So I'm sure you guys have not gone through all these years that you've been together and we've never had a conversation. So there has had to have been times when it was the right time. Maybe 2 days ago wasn't the right time, but when you brought it up this time, it became the right time at that time. That's why the conversation was able to move forward at that time.
Well, this is what I would say. Like you say, we know our spouses.
Yes, you do.
And since we're going to talk about my husband in particular, my husband does not like to discuss anything. He just doesn't. So, and I'm very communicative. Like, that's me. I'm very expressive. I don't believe in holding feelings in. Like, if there's something that truly bothers me, I'm the type of person, I have to get it out. I can try to hold it, you know, but it will do a disservice to me. So especially if it's something like, if it's something little, okay, you know, I can take that. But if it's something that really is disruptive to my spirit, then yes, I'm the type of person that I need to express that. And no, I don't have to come with an attitude, or I don't. Well, depending on what it is, I'm going to be honest and transparent. It does depend on what it is and how many times we've talked about it. Mm-hmm. Because anything that I've had more than 2 to 3 conversations about, I'm coming with attitude. I'm just being honest, because we've talked how many.
So if you have a partner, and these are things that you are saying, like I said, no one really learns how to live. We are all surviving out of our own experiences. So it can be stuff I learned from a past relationship, stuff I learned from my family interactions, stuff I learned from having to get it on by myself. And so when you come to someone, there might be things that maybe did not show up in past interactions with people that are showing up now. And that's where people have to be able to say, you know what? This is causing conflict in my relationship. I don't feel like I want to hear anything my wife or girlfriend or partner has to say, or boyfriend or whoever. I might need to check that inside of me, because what is it about them coming to me wanting to share with me that's causing me to have such a visceral reaction where I just like, nope, not right now. Nope, we can't. Nope, come to me later. Can we talk about this later?
Or be an attitude.
Or even
what do you think that is, Dr. Lewis?
I would say because, so let me make this disclaimer. Because the person is not in front of me and I have not assessed them, I am not at liberty to be able to assess what might be happening. However,
we getting off live in 2 minutes. The conversation will continue.
What I can say is there's so many different things that can play into why that is a challenge for them. They have to be in a space where they are able to receive feedback and acknowledge that this is a
problem.
Point.
Problem.
We don't say problems, we say challenge. That this is a challenge in my ability to effectively communicate in the way that this relationship needs.
So what do you think about people who don't take very well to constructive criticism? Because I mean, as an adult, you know, there's constructive criticism, and of course, you know, there's criticism.
Yeah.
No one likes to be critiqued or criticized at all. Me too. But constructive criticism, to me, is a mandate in adulthood. In order to grow and elevate, you need to hear things about you. So a person that is unable to take constructive criticism,
they haven't learned the skill to be able
is emotionally immature.
So this is what I will say. What I will say about that is it could be a core issue that they are dealing with. So core issues develop because something was missing in your childhood, right? So misunderstood, taken for granted, taken advantage of, feeling invisible, unworthy, unlovable, all of these different core issues that verbally you would not be able to say it. But when I feel like something is happening or someone is saying something about me, if it plucks that string of any of those things, you're going to have a reaction. And it doesn't always come with a good reaction, right? And you're like, well, damn, why are you so defensive? Why are you so angry? Well, if we're looking at core issues that probably need to be processed, and these can be developed in childhood or they can happen in adulthood. When I feel like this is happening to me, I feel misunderstood, and I was always misunderstood as a child. Or it makes me feel invisible, like I don't matter, because growing up, I didn't matter because all of my siblings had challenges and I was the good one. I did all the good stuff and they always got the attention and I was the invisible child. So thus, when I am confronted with, we need to talk, we don't know what string that is plucking. And that is discovered in therapy. That's why you should have licensed individuals who are certified doing work with people. Again, do I feel like people have the ability to heal? Yes, there are healers, there are shamans, there are coaches, everybody has their lane.
Just say life coach, because when you say coach, that covers a broad spectrum. Life coach.
I know. So I do, before we go, I do have one pivotal question that because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation around therapy and coaching and what that actually looks like when it comes to healing. So, Cortina, really this question is for you because I want people to understand the value of therapy. What does real healing look like in everyday behavior? Like, how does it show up? Because people, when we talk about learning better language for our dysfunction versus healing, because people might just feel like, oh, I'm healed. But really, in my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, I always tell people healing is an everyday progress from something for me.
Right.
It's not, it's an evolution of, because you never know what's going to trigger. And, even though I might have those coping mechanisms, there are things that are new that I have to unlearn. There are things that are new that I have to shift behavior around. And then things are new that I choose to go back to therapy for because I never experienced it. So I just want you to hear, I want people to hear from a professional that what does real healing actually look like in everyday behavior?
So when we're talking about healing, and let me just do this little disclaimer, coaching is not for people that are experiencing grief, pain, attachment wounds, emotional hurt, or anything like that, right? So coaching it takes good people and make them great. Right? Coaching is we're identifying goals. We're setting strategies. I'm your cheerleader. I'm your accountability buddy. We are improving things that they're not broken down palace in your life, but they can be improved upon. That is what coaching does, right? When you feel like I need a therapist, what this looks like is what has happened to you in the past. What is it that you're carrying? What is it that we need to process? What parts of you feel unsafe? What parts of you need to be healed? What parts of you feel wounded? What parts of you feel unlovable? Right. And we're sometimes doing parts work, sometimes we're doing inner child work. It just depends. And so being very clear about what you need in that moment. So healing is processing past the pain, right? And like you said, Pam, healing is not a destination. It is something that is occurring every day, because maybe I am healing and I've healed from the loss of this. Now I'm healing to move past whatever this is over here. Right. So it's not like I'm healed. Nothing else is ever going to bother me. I'm great. No, because life be lifing. And so do I need to learn emotional regulation? Am I doing trauma work? Am I rebuilding my self-worth because maybe this past interaction or connection with this person made me feel worthless? I'm learning how to trust people again. I'm learning that I can be safe in my body. These are all things that happen in the therapeutic space.
Okay. No, I felt like people need to really hear that and understand that, because of the misconceptions that's really being put out there, especially now. I don't know why they keep giving this heifer a platform to continue with a lot of the nonsense, but I just looked at it and I was
using God. She said, God,
I know, but I was sharing with Cortina privately that I feel like there are people who are in support of her, who are having some very derogatory things to say or making statements about, not having to have a license to help people and all of those things. And I felt like healing, when there's just a huge difference when you're really talking about healing. Been there, done that, been broken, been toxic, had to address lots of trauma, including adult trauma from relationships, from marriages and whatnot. And I really, truly learned that my healing is evolutionary based on what I have going on in my life at this moment, at 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And sometimes you just put things on the back burner. So that's one of the reasons why I am a huge mental health advocate, because I've had to learn how to process my own trauma and what that actually looked like, and what you have to be honest with yourself, be very self-aware. And until you are very self-aware, do you really understand what you need? And when you don't know what you need to process through those, because coping, you can't have one coping mechanism for everything. You can't have two coping mechanisms for everything. You can't have three coping mechanisms for everything, because there is some things that you can overlook. And that's speaking from a non-clinician standpoint and somebody who used to, be very much into mental health. I always say I never liked people, so I had to leave that field. For my own sanity, because sometimes just if different things in that climate, I feel like will wear you down. Back when it was extremely taboo, it's very welcome and opening now. But when you work in a climate where it is not healthy and the government is not doing anything to help the soldiers, I burned out in that field. So I even stopped doing my master's program. I was in a marriage and family therapy certification. Well, I was getting my master's and then wanting to do private practice. But again, it wasn't something back then. And I'm talking in the early 2000s, y'all. That's how long ago it's been for me. But I'm very much an advocate. And so I have a very strong belief about it. So thank you, Cortina, for what you do. Thank you, all the therapists who are licensed and doing what they're supposed to do to dismantle a lot of the false beliefs behind therapy. On that, Diana, where can everybody find you at? Is there anything that you want to share? Any last words or anything before we go?
No, I think you guys summed it all up. You can find me at Diana Richardson Philippus on all social media platforms and DianaRichardsonPhilippus.com.
Dr. Lewis, Dr. Cortina Lewis, where can everybody find you at? Put some respect on that name.
Yes, you can find me at The Girlfriend Therapist on all social media platforms, or the Noir, NOIR Center, or Smile Facilitation Services.
All right. And you can find me on all social media platforms at I am Dr. P. Gurley. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us to watch us and participate and, having conversations and even ask questions. We have one episode left before we go on summer hiatus. So we will I know, one more. We'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place. And then we're going to enjoy our summer, hanging out with each other some of the time. But definitely tune in, because you never know what next week is going to be about. And I feel like, we should close it out with talking about what, some sex or some whatnot, because I'm just saying, we got hey,
spicy.
It's summertime. Let it all hang out. I mean, hey, the heat's about to turn up, and you never know what will too. So.
It's already turned up in Georgia. We had in the 90s. So
we in the 90s too. The heat index was at 100.
Okay, so we had some 90-degree weather yesterday. It's been storming today, but y'all tune in next week. You never know what the conversation is going to be on, but we're not going to leave y'all hanging. We're going to end the first half of the season out with a bang. So, for sure. Of course, as we always say before we end, cheers.
Cheers.
This is Herspiration Happy Hour.